All right. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I have approval of the minutes of the 25th, August 25th meeting.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. All right, first on the agenda, we have the second and third reading of ordinance 2020-007, amending and restating traffic regulations, Chadwick Shores Access Road speed limit. Any discussion? Motion to approve on second.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Do you have a motion to suspend the rules and pass on third?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, next on the agenda is the economic development facilitation or facilitator. I think Jonathan forwarded to you all a contract for doing that. We had since talked, the two of us, about possibly, when we were first talking to the facilitator about this, we were potentially looking at multiple meetings, meeting with each organization or a combination of organizations, then meeting as a larger group and a series of Zoom meetings. Jonathan has since looked into us spreading out at Swan Lake and trying to do it the way we originally conceived of it, which might cut back on the time for the facilitator if we could do it that way. Do you want to kind of go over what you learned?
Yeah, so the proposal from Cheryl Morphew to run the series of meetings with not to exceed 9,500. And as Jenny mentioned, the proposal was flexible and said we could do one large meeting, or we could do a series of smaller Zoom meetings and maybe a shorter meeting with a medium-sized group, I guess. So we were kind of looking at both options, but I did reach out to Swan Lake, and it would be a $200 rental fee to use a room and $11.50 for a registrant for lunch. We're thinking probably the most would be around 50 people that we would have for it. So you're under $750 there total for the day. And we think, or at least I think, based on her proposal, we may actually come out ahead to meet as one large group at Swan Lake. The other thing, it might be nice, I think it'd be more productive, I think, to have a larger group rather than a bunch of individual meetings, just to let kind of everybody share what they need to share as a group and all be a part of the same conversation. And so when we received that, I did reach out to the Chamber Board President Liz, Rich on behalf of Redevelopment Commission, and Tracy Fox on behalf of Develop Culver, just to see if they had any interest in sharing some of those costs with us. And I didn't ask for a specific amount, just sent them a copy of the proposal and said, hey, this is kind of what we're thinking. Would your group be interested, or at least put it on the agenda for your next meeting? And the feedback I got from all those was very positive, that they thought it was something worth doing and that they would take it to their board and let me know if I could be there. I'd be happy to present and answer any questions, but they did seem willing to share some portion of the cost with us and thought it was worth moving forward with.
Jonathan, in that respect, do you think we should hold off, or do you want like an authorization up to amount? Or
I guess at this point I'd be comfortable with that, and if council wants to set a number that's their maximum, whether it's that full amount or something short of that, I do think we'll be able to fundraise from those groups a portion of it.
Any idea from her proposal what just one large meeting and then some small follow-up things would be, as opposed to all of the different? I mean, it would seem to take a lot less time.
No, so Jenny and I, neither one of us have followed up with that conversation yet. My guess would be 75% of this probably is a reasonable guess, if we can reduce her time.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not in favor of, setting an amount up front. I think we ought to get the other parties to say what they're gonna commit to, and then come back to us and see where we are. And then we make a decision as to how much money we're gonna commit.
I would suggest, I mean, I don't disagree with that, Bill, but I'd suggest we go to them with a number in mind. And my suggestion would be, if it's, say, $9,000, if we're expecting a reduction, is that we divide that 3 ways between the town council, CRC, and the chamber, and then, and ask for that amount. Develop Culver, because of what I believe, Karen, correct me if I'm wrong, because of what we could do with town funds and CRC funds, we can't pay for food or beverages or things like that. But Develop Culver's contribution could be paying for that food side of it, which they could have any restrictions the way we need that.
You're saying the town pay for the food and,
No, I'm saying, I don't think the town or CRC is supposed to use our funds to pay for food.
okay,
But Develop Culver could do that. So their contribution could be to pick up that, $750 or whatever it is for the Swan Lake cost. And then we divide equally between the 3 large organizations, the balance or whatever the consultant cost would be.
And I guess I'd say, Rich, if the group feels comfortable with that, just for time's sake, if you guys want to approve up to 4,000, I'd be happy to then, follow up with those groups and try to make those numbers work. The only issue is just time. I mean, it'd be another 30 days probably if I went and asked each of those groups what specific amount and then came back. I do think what you're suggesting is doable. So if you guys would want to approve 4,000, I think that would be fine. And at least would give me a chance to try and get it moving forward sometime in September, early October. But I mean, we're coming up on downtime for a lot of people anyway, so
Yeah.
it might not matter that much. But I know it's something we've been talking about and trying to get moving forward. So I'm always eager to set a date for this.
Well, and at least if we approve an amount, the other organizations know we've got an investment in doing this.
Yep.
Kind of thing. So I like the idea of seeing if Develop Culver will handle the food side of it, because I do think if we're gonna have a workshop day or half a day or whatever that looks like, it would be nice for people to be able to have something to eat and, get down to business, but we can't expect people to sit there without a beverage or coffee and that sort of thing, maybe a lunch or whatever. So are you guys comfortable approving up to, say, 4,000 from the council side, and then we wait and see what Jonathan can come up with the other organizations?
I am. So I guess I would make the motion that the town council authorize up to $4,000 for the consultant to conduct the economic development conference, with the expectation that the chamber and CRC make similar type of contributions.
Okay, is there a second? I will second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Are you nay?
no,
Okay. All right, we'll wait till the next meeting, see what happens. Okay, next on the agenda, we have Beach Lodge top floor usage. We started talking about this at the last council meeting. Did everyone get a chance to walk up there again? I know we just did before the meeting, a couple of us went up. Do we have Sally on the line?
I don't think so.
Okay. So any thoughts since kind of reviewing the square footage up there? Discussion points in general? I think at the last meeting we had, was it antiquarians we're looking at?
Mhm.
Potentially leasing space. There's currently a visitor center office up there. And then there's a room that it looks like when this room is occupied, they can use that space for yoga or the card playing group, etc.
There are potentially, I think, 3 separate spaces up there besides the new addition. and there's the office and visitor center. There's that one right in the middle as you move in that has a big credenza in there. I know Amber has some storage in there, and then there's the other room that has the post-construction materials in it.
Yeah. My gut reaction at the last meeting hasn't really changed a whole lot, in that my own feeling is that, one, that space isn't real, it's not livable right now outside of getting off that elevator into that first room, at least in my own opinion. Right now, it's being used for storage, which it looks like we probably are gonna have to get rid of some things and that sort of thing. But I also, just from the standpoint of how we've tried to work with our public spaces, is engaging with the public, figuring out, I mean, we did that on this building, we did that through all of the stellar projects. We haven't really done specific public engagement on how to use that space. The same thing with the space on the south end of town that was donated, the old restaurant. And I sort of feel like we should do more critical thinking on what to do with that space, what it could be. It obviously needs work to make it functioning at all, which is going to cost money, and we need to think through where that would come from. We wouldn't qualify for any of the public facility grants at this point because of completing our own grant here at the Beach Lodge. So, you know, it's something I just feel like we need to take the time to engage with the public on, and looking at it from a budget standpoint.
The AHS proposal, if I understand it correctly, is that they would do improvements in lieu of rent.
Mm-hmm.
So in terms of cash flow, that will potentially save us.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's got potential. But I guess it depends on what we want long-term. You know, didn't the library have this situation once with, was it antiquarians or was it a different group?
No,
Was it antiquarians? Pardon?
It was that.
That's what I thought. So I don't know, what are you guys thinking? I mean, I guess to me, it's not really our decision so much as it's the public's decision.
I thought once upon a time that we talked about that third floor would be used for two different groups. One of them would be the antiquarians, and the other one would have been the visitor center. And it was my recollection that the antiquarians were either going to have some sort of rent-free or fixing it up, you know, a period of free rent. Now, I don't know what the agreement was going to be with the visitor center, since I didn't have.
The visitor center has been up there since 2017, and two previous executive directors ago painted it, tore out the old carpet, took out a lot of staples and stuff that were on the floor, and the visitor center has put some furniture in there, and it's proposing to finish painting that. We've got a carpet to put in there. So.
Yeah, I think
Is that the west room?
Yes.
And so the west room would be taken, and then the middle room would have been the antiquarian office, and then the east room would be more or less a meeting room or set up that way. Put a conference room table in there, the groups could meet in there.
so. We also talked about the chamber having an office in there. We never
Right.
did anything from a detailed standpoint or
No.
planning
It
standpoint.
was all talk.
It was just sort of ideas that got thrown out. And one idea was we have a lot of organizations that lack office space. And, you know.
Visitor center did do a lease, so I don't know if it.
I was looking for, I mean, Karen found in the minutes where it was approved by council, but I didn't find it today. I'll have to keep checking. I couldn't find the signed thing. I thought we did a short-term one, a 6-month or 12-month, but I wasn't able to find it today.
Yes,
Uh-huh,
may I speak?
sure.
Mel Gibbons, and I work for the Antiquarian Society, and I'm a member of them. And at our last board meeting, we discussed in length the possibilities, if the town approves it, of what we would do up there, and have already gotten estimates to make improvements. So it's something that we're waiting to hear. We currently have a space in the bank, but the museum is closed. We've closed it down, and our plan is to move out of there. And we thought that this might be a possibility for us. And the board approved making an investment in improvements. Painting, flooring, things like that. I can't say anything beyond that, but now it's dependent upon the town.
Is the plan to actually have the museum in there too, or just an office?
There won't be public going in and out. It'll be the office and files and maybe storage of a few artifacts. And possibly using it as a meeting room for the board when they have their meetings.
Jenny, Patty's a
Uh-huh.
member. I think she's got her hand raised on here. If you
Oh, okay, yeah, sure, go ahead.
Hey, Patty, you're on mute, but if you can hear me, if you want to unmute and speak.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yep.
Yep.
Okay. I'm Patty Stallings, Vice President of the Antiquarian and Historical Society of Culver. And we have a committee made up of my husband, Builder, to get some numbers in it for us, and Mike Overmeyer and myself. And the Antiquarian Society would love to get in there. The museum, we could no longer afford the museum. It was not being used by people coming in. So the board decided to take history to the community. And in doing so, Karen Schumann showed us some space they have in the junior high school facility that we can store, catalog, and create displays. And then those displays, we would hopefully be using some history students too to help out. Then we would take those displays to the community, maybe to the park, to the library, to the town hall, wherever requests were made, to the schools, to the churches. And that's what we're planning to do. We are spending, quite a bit of money on Heritage Park, which the board has agreed to update, and it's really looking very good. And we are preparing to move the artifacts. It's probably going to be late fall because they're heavy, they're big, and they're being cataloged right now. So we're looking for office space. The board has a part-time secretary. The other organizations do not. I have gotten a hold of a few, such as trying to think of Tri-Kappa, the Chamber Lions Club. None of them were very interested in that, but I wasn't able to talk to some other of them. However, we took a tour, and the secretary came also, and the president, and we really think we can do something with that. And Jonathan suggested, we were hoping to, do a room that we could use for storage and for a secretarial work, machines, that we would have liked to have the large western room, which what is it? The visitor center had been using. They have not used it in months. I'm not sure that Matt's interested in using it this point, but we had thought then to, if we couldn't get that, go to the larger room, which is kind of the, living room, kitchen facility there. And so we had electricians, painters, and carpet people come in, measure, and give us estimates. And, we beg, borrow, and beg some more for lower prices. And I think we did very well. I think probably much better than a government organization could do with getting the help and getting volunteers and getting it done. So we would really like then, if we couldn't get the larger room on the west side, to use the east side and then provide also a table for meetings, and that the town could use in any way they wanted, working with the secretary on time wise and things, very part-time. So the town or other organizations could use them. We wanted to ask for money from others, but we didn't get anyone interested. So that's where we are right now.
Okay, thanks, Patty. Thanks, Melba. I guess I'm just wondering if you guys are open to us polling the community before we make a decision like this. I just feel like we're kind of, I realize the space is completely unused. It definitely needs to be fixed up. We definitely don't have it in our current budget. It's not in the park budget. So I can see how doing something collaboratively among maybe multiple organizations that want an office space or a cohabitation space of some sort might work out. I just feel like we need to.
Do you want to propose a work session?
Or I propose a poll that we survey the community and put something out, get feedback on the idea, or put this among other ideas out there and see what people think. And if we are going to do something collaborative where it becomes like a co-working space for these organizations, we also look at what other organizations might be interested, and fixing that up and creating a conference room with multiple offices. There's not a working bathroom up there right now, so that would be kind of, I know there's one on this floor, obviously, but.
I think that makes a lot of sense. To go out and ask your community if they have ideas or what they think is a good use for the facility.
I do know wherever we've spent federal funds, we cannot create an office space for government employees. But I do think we can for non-government, right? That's the thing, that elevator and that lobby are considered part of the federal grant.
Yeah, right. That's separate from what we're talking about here. I think the only.
Except that you have to access it to get to there.
I think we'd be okay there, yeah.
I think the only improvement made up there really was the fire suppression sprinkler system in that area.
Yeah. Well, and honestly, it's really more about, you can't, like Jonathan can't have an office up there.
Right.
I don't think they would care if the chamber or the antiquarians or visitor center were up there. But if we could just put something out to the community, is there a sense of urgency, Melba?
No, not really, but I mean, the bank has been very generous in letting us continue to stay in that space. And of course, we do rent that from the bank.
Mm-hmm.
But there's not a, like we have to move out by a certain date.
Yeah. I think it would also be, if we do go that route, it'd be nice to know the needs of whatever the organizations out there are. So you have a need for storage. visitor center currently doesn't really have a need for storage, right? More of a desk space and a phone and,
There are publication materials that are kept up there.
So
and
files.
Things like that, yeah. There's a filing cabinet, there are some bookcases,
Yeah.
and closets and storage areas, and printed materials, things like that.
okay. Because I mean, then we could plan the space properly to, really take a real look at it instead of just go ahead, go up and fix it up how you want it. If there's more than one organization involved, I think we should do it in a more collaborative kind of way. But I'm just off the top of my head speaking and hearing very little. So, is anyone opposed to putting out some sort of polling or survey or getting more input on this?
Now,
And also maybe asking if are there any other organizations that would have an interest in doing this and making it a cohabitation space of some sort? I don't know.
I think Amber and I could come up with some different ideas and put together a survey and put it out through
Okay.
the park department. over the
Yeah,
next
I
few
mean,
weeks.
honestly, that's the other thing. I'd like to know what Amber and our park people think. All right. 610 Peru Court, landscaping in the right-of-way request. I'm gonna let you
Yeah,
take
sure.
that one.
Tony Sellers is here, and I'll actually turn it over to him here in a second, but I emailed out a landscaping plan to the group. It's Michael and Sarah Barrow, and the address is 610 Peru Court, and I can actually try and pull that up here, it might be helpful.
That is helpful.
Yeah, so you've got Prado Street and Peru Court. And if you've been down there, Prado is 50 feet the right of way, and Peru Court's probably 10 to 12 feet wide. And the intersection's offset, so you can see to the north here, you can see that right? Here's Peru Court, and then south of them, it's way over here. So we've got kind of this whole area in through here that's a sea of asphalt, I guess, kind of like the area around Town Hall, where we've talked about that, where you really do have more asphalt than really is necessary through there. There's nowhere to go if you're headed north near their property. And Tony had reached out on behalf of the owners and talked about a plan to just do some landscaping in about a 20 by 20 area around their front door. And so that's basically what's submitted here. They also sent, I told them we would need something that indicates in writing from the property owner that they realize this is still town property. They would be responsible for maintaining it if they do it. We would retain ownership, and if for any reason we would need to do a town improvement there, we would just have to remove it and do what we need to do, And they've got, there is also a water valve in that area, which they agreed, obviously they're not gonna plant anything or landscape anything to block that access to that. And they provided that to us already in writing. And Bob and I were both okay with what's proposed here. Did I miss anything, Tony? Anything you'd add?
I don't think so. Pretty much, it's just like Justin said, it's basically, right now, like, they've even had it where a car could literally pull up right there in front of their steps and park. They can pull in front of their garage, and the kids kind of just trying to, from a safety standpoint, just trying to direct traffic so it actually just kind of goes around and goes down the street or turns left like it should. Right now, somebody could just drive right on through there and pull in next to the house next door. It's kind of a very odd situation, so.
Yeah, you can see,
So
the right-of-way line's actually right about here, right, Tony? So you
Goes
could
right,
park right there.
basically you turn left, you turn left to go back out to, is that Bridle Street there? Is that-
Right.
Yep,
So really, no, the hill's more south,
Okay,
a little ways, yeah.
So-
There's a little tight back in there, you know, it is
Yeah,
very.
the whole area is tough.
I
We're
mean,
doing another project
The
there.
trash man just has obliterated my whole curb system and everything up there, because it's so small, and that's why I wondered where this actually was, so it's down the hill.
Yeah, you go down
The
here
trash
and
man
then,
could get through there and all
Yeah.
that, okay.
So is the area being proposed is literally that whole lawn area with the path of stone there?
yes.
And right now that's concrete.
Right through
Yeah,
asphalt.
basically,
Okay,
This square
thank
here,
you.
you can see.
Yeah.
Yep, got it.
That's all kind
the concrete's basically where it's white there, that's squared off to the property line.
This
and
is
the rest
concrete up
asphalt.
here, yeah. This is asphalt.
Okay.
Question for Jim on this. Does this potentially create any, even though they say that there's no easement here, use of space over time like this with access, will that create a historical easement?
If they, give, if they understand that it's they're not adversely taking it, they're, and they can't really from the town anyway. They, they're saying there's no ownership interest, so I think you're not in a problem. I did have some comments though, it doesn't take away any parking. What about the parking then? I assume the garage is an entryway off of that street, will that encourage parking there? And then if you tear out the concrete, then you decide you need to put it back, are they responsible for that? And I don't know, does the road go across the asphalt area and the concrete area, or
No,
what's in the concrete area?
can you see, I think it's this line right here, Jim?
Yeah,
That's the right-of-way line. So right now, that's asphalt that's ours. This here is concrete that the neighbor's done, kind of through here.
and do those neighbors that own that area adjacent to what will be the lawn area with this concrete, do they have any problem with any of that?
I haven't got a hold of them yet. Yeah.
So the neighbors have already encroached onto our concrete with their own concrete?
Our asphalt with the concrete, yes. Or in the right-of-way, yes.
I think you guys should go take a look at it first, because it's really kind of goofy in that whole area. And if you went and looked at Chadwick Shore's driveway, I think you guys should go and look at that too.
How large approximately in square footage is that lawn area?
It's 20 by 20 is what's proposed.
Pardon?
20 feet by 20 feet.
Yeah, I think also hearing from the neighbor might be ideal.
I can try to get a hold of them.
Yeah.
Review it next meeting.
Yeah, because I mean, usually you put out notice if you're gonna do anything, even with zoning, you notify the neighbors. This is kind of a big deal. So if we could hear from the neighbors, and I want to go look at it. I don't know if you guys know the property. I'm not familiar with the properties at all.
I drove down there this afternoon, and I basically tried to look at the map and then picture it, and I couldn't do it, but that was me. I went down Prado, because you can't go down Purdue Court right now.
Yeah.
Can I come up here a second?
Sure.
So if you were looking in a normal street situation, if you look down, if you came up here, in reality, if things went, there's definitely some issues here. Obviously, here's the property line. So,
Mhm.
so there's streets you couldn't drive a car around here if that ever became an issue, So there's some potential issues, with that situation. If this was like, it's almost like the street should be over here a little bit. In reality, it's just over time, you can tell these are alleys basically. And then, but when you look down here, you can see, so the sidewalk, if you come across the street, then you have your sidewalk and your green space median, just like a normal, like you would if you were going through town. That's kind of what they're looking at here, is kind of the same thing, just to explain a little bit. Saying, so in reality, if this was a regular town property, there would be a sidewalk or something, but just having a green median through here, separating that from the residential property. So it's kind of when you see it, it'll make more sense that way. But,
Mhm.
there's nothing to separate from a car not paying attention, driving through here, literally, driving, basically right now, that's pretty much what they're doing, is they're driving through this property and just just coming down the alley over here, so.
Because it's so tiny, it's so small.
It's definitely a very odd situation.
Yeah,
With the way it's
Okay.
laid, so, but, I don't know if that helps.
What's the projected cost of this?
We haven't gotten that far. We really haven't gotten that far, we're just trying to get approval first to, well, this will be
What
done
would
in
you ballpark?
Probably, I don't know if I want to do that.
Yeah, this is a public meeting, it's being recorded.
yeah.
I just haven't gotten, we haven't really gotten that far, to be honest with you. But, I mean, honestly, besides like the Bluestone Walk and stuff, what we talked about is just getting the green space in there. And, but literally, you're talking, I don't know, say, yeah. I'll just hold off on that, but,
You obviously
but I
have
can figure that
to
out.
tear
It's
out,
just, I just haven't sat down with the numbers. Just
you have
we
to
just wanna
tear
see what
out
we can do.
concrete too, right?
Yeah, we
all
gotta
that-
tear out all the asphalt.
Bring in dirt.
There's actually asphalt even kind of up towards the porch area a little bit, comes on the property there. So, so that's the biggest part, would be the demolition, and then we'll bring in soil, put all that in there, and talk about sodding it, put it together, so.
Not gonna be a sprinkler system in there, is there anything like that?
More than likely, I would say yes, just to keep the grass up. So it would come down off the side of the house there, onto their property, feed it. So it would feed off from their existing lawn.
Not a hose out there with a sprinkler.
Pardon me?
Not a hose out there.
All right,
So we
Well,
refer
let's-
this to the next meeting.
yeah, let's put it on the agenda for the next
Yeah,
meeting, just,
And hopefully we
and
get
see if we can
something
get in
out
touch with the neighbors, yeah.
Yeah.
Just out of fairness to the neighbors. Okay, so we'll get back to you, Tony, hopefully at the next meeting. The next agenda item is a request for a letter of support for a grant application on behalf of Visitor Center. I'm assuming they would like the town to support, and what is the grant for?
Yeah, so it's a letter of support for their application for, through Indiana Humanities to host a Waterways Museum exhibit. That would be, the exhibit would be housed at the library, so Matt, at the Visitor Center is working with the library as well as Lake Max Environmental Council. And one of the things they would have to do if selected is host a series of events kind of related to, get attention for the event. He mentioned possibly working with us to do a film festival or an outdoor movie or a music event somewhere in the park during that 6-week period. The date would have to be determined because 6 communities in Indiana will be able to host this traveling exhibit. And so he won't, they won't have any control over which date if selected. But at this point, all he's asking for is a letter of support
Okay.
for their grant application.
I suggest we can draft it and authorize the, you to sign it on behalf of the town.
Okay,
So,
so that's a motion?
Yes.
And Bill, you seconded?
yeah,
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. Next is Maycog Electric Vehicle Charging Station Grant. I'm assuming,
Yeah, so on this one, Maycog, Michiana Area Council of Governments is working on a grant application to get a series of electric vehicle charging stations throughout our region. So I know Plymouth is one in Marshall County that's working on one as well, or at least looking at it. The application is due, I believe, September 23rd. We don't know there would be a local match, a cost to us if awarded. We think it's probably in the $2,000 range, but I don't know that yet. But I did want to bring it up for feedback tonight, because the first hurdle is that we would have to commit 2 locations, 2 parking spots, current public parking that would have to be specifically designated for electric vehicle charging. And I identified 2, actually I sent a list of 4 possibilities, either off-street parking or public parking lots that we own to a staff member at MACOG. She reviewed and eliminated 2 of them, and we're down to 2 possibilities, mainly based on the cost of installation. You know, we're trying to keep the cost down of what it would cost to actually install it. And the 2 that she thought showed the most potential were on the north side of Jefferson Street downtown, next to the vacant Dickey lot, or 2 spots in our public parking lot on Main Street, the one that the town built a few years ago, on the north side of the lot, basically near the entrance. And I really just wanted feedback tonight on whether to keep working with them as the estimates come in. So Leah Thill at MACOG is the one who is organizing the grant application, and she had someone from NIPSCO and an electrician look at these sites on Friday, and we'll get hard costs before we actually would have to commit to it, but we probably won't have another council meeting before her deadline. So just some kind of feedback again. Her early estimate was $2,000. She's got, you know, both those people kind of looking at it. I did talk to the NIPSCO person, and they didn't think NIPSCO would charge us anything at either location. The public parking lot was possible, but the 2 spots on Jefferson Street, they thought they would not have any charges for us at all. But we would have an electrician have to install that. And so we would get $8,000 in grant money through MACOG for it. And they're estimating the total cost of installation and purchasing around $10,000.
So there's a site in the parking lot or not?
That was one of them that I sent originally, but Leah and the person from NIPSCO or the electrician both looked at that one and thought it was the most expensive of the 3 that I sent, or 4. So the other one I sent was the water tower parking lot, and they didn't want to do any unpaved surfaces. So those are the 4 I sent. They started with that with 2.
I think if we could get these off of grant dollars, it would be a benefit. I know I've seen electric cars come in on parents' weekends. Eventually, we're going to see a lot more electric cars.
And I think the discussion at MACOG is if you do put them here, they're encouraging communities to look at, you know, a retail shopping area especially, but it could be kind of a destination where it would encourage someone to come hang out, charge their vehicle while they have a meal. And they're still rare enough in our area that it would be an attraction at this point. So, and like I said, 80% of it we think will be covered by that. Actually, it's a state grant, but it's an IDEM grant.
How much of a real need is this?
I don't know how much. I guess, you know, with them reading the application bill, they reached out and, you know, kind of asked what communities were interested, and I gave her a list.
The other thing I'm thinking is that they're going to make this available to other communities. And for example, if Plymouth goes for it, you're only 13 miles away to get your car charged.
And have you ever been in the Casper House in the last year? Been to the Casper House at Ancilla in the last year? They have this, and it's, so I spent the entire month of May at the Casper House every single day. I drove there 2-3 times a day. There's a car in that electric station the entire time. There's, now, it's not the same car, there's a few cars using the one at Ancilla.
I know
So,
Leah's in South Bend, obviously, their office, there are a few in South Bend, and the demand there is very high, whether, you know, what it would be here.
We have a couple of them at the code that we installed 2 or 3 years ago, for owners and guests who are renting there. And there's a fair amount of use of them. A couple of owners have electric cars, and so it's very convenient for them. I think the one on the spot on Jefferson Street would make a lot of sense in terms of commercial district there. I'm not sure how much utilization Main Street, but across from the town building gets, I don't see a lot of cars parked in there usually. But that's why I thought the parks, even though it may be a little more expensive, it certainly is a higher profile in the commercial area down town.
I do think we're seeing a lot more hybrid cars and a lot more electric cars on the market. Granted, I drive one of them now, so I do appreciate my 44 miles a gallon.
Is there a charge for that?
So, yeah, one thing they're working on in the grant application is they did anticipate that one of the requirements is that you do not charge for at least a year. Maytag's still tinkering and was getting feedback from all of us on if we wanted to go further than that. We thought we might get more grant points if we went to 3 years. At the South Bend station, I think she told us it was around $800 a year to run that one, maybe less than that, like in the $500 to $800 range, I think. And that was used constantly, all the time. So we would expect to have, probably around 2,000 or less over those 3 years.
No, I mean, if I have my car.
Right, that's what I'm saying. So, no, as part of the grant application, we would have to agree to cover for at least 1 year. I believe the number is going to be 3
That
years.
would be nice income if you.
But they will, part of the equipment will include that, so that eventually we will transition to that.
That would be nice.
Yeah.
Take $20 to charge your car.
All right, so any other discussion points?
Okay.
Karen, Jim, Jonathan, any other discussion points on
I
that?
just, again, look at the feedback on whether or not we want to commit 2 spots at this point. And I would follow up once we know what the match amount would be.
I like that idea of the parking lot on Main Street, just because it's near the retail shops, et cetera, and that parking lot's never full.
Yeah.
So, if you're gonna take up 2 spots, it's better there than right in front of one of the shops.
I think it's a good idea to do it, I would support it. Assuming the cost is not outrageous.
Right. Okay. All right. Anything else on that?
Another Jonathan, want a motion to proceed forward and discuss the next item?
Sure, I mean, that would be great. Again, I guess what I would think was that once we get the number back, again, I probably won't have a chance to do it in a public meeting. I'll probably, if it's more than 2,000, I'll just have to call everyone.
Okay.
So,
Send an email.
I'll make a motion that we authorize, this non-participation in the Maytag electric vehicle, charging grants, for a matching amount not to exceed $2,000.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Aye. Nay.
Okay. Next on the agenda is the regional stellar planned update. The only update I have is I was at the commissioners meeting this morning, and they did approve the lowest bid for the message board project. So Shannon McLeod from Project Priority will get in touch about next steps for that, installation, etc. And I didn't have anything else. Did you, Jonathan?
For regional, just that proposals for our Western Gateway Trail, our Jefferson, Slate, and Cass Street for professional services are due to Town Hall by September 11th at 4 o'clock. And again, for our regional Stellar Park project, now that we've got that application with PennDOT moving forward, that'll be the next one I'll be able to start working on.
Okay. Stellar plan update.
I put a note on there again. I'd like to move forward with the ribbon cutting here and at Cavalier Park. I'm looking at possibly trying to do both the same day or within a day or two of each other, partially to kind of coordinate with Okra and their schedules. But I suggested maybe afternoon or early evening on September 24th or 25th as possible dates to get in touch with Okra on if folks are comfortable with those dates. And again, we want to coordinate with the school for the Cavalier Park, obviously. Any questions or concerns about those dates? Okay. And Bob Porter and I met with Mike Reese over at Troy Group today to review plans for Lake Max Trail Phase 2, our State Road 10 Sidewalks Project, and West Jefferson Gateway. And the plans for State Road 10 Sidewalks in West Jefferson are about 95% complete, and Lake Max Trail Phase 2, probably more like 80. That one usually finished up by January. So Bob and I made some notes, got some questions answered, and we're pretty happy with where things are, where things are headed.
Great. Any questions for Jonathan on the salary plan update? Alrighty, let's go to town manager's report.
Sorry, I'm on my tiny screen. The large employer utility relief, those application forms are posted on our website, and we'll be accepting applications until October 6th at 4 p.m. for that program. Last meeting, we talked about tuition reimbursement, and I sent a proposal, a change to our tuition agreement and an updated section in our personnel handbook. A couple of suggestions there. If everyone's okay with those, I would take the motion to approve those, or I think Rich might have had one addition.
Yes, the way it's written, it talks about undergraduate and graduate classes, and I wonder if we might want to extend that also to requirements for licensing, for certification, and for continuing education. When we talked about
Yeah.
paramedics, or if you.
Yeah, that would cover a certification through EMS
Through the class of.
or business management for the clerk or Jonathan or,
Right.
I agree.
What, maybe we just added a section in there for, excuse me, for professional certification.
Yeah, I think if you said professional certification / continuing ed, because it could be like if he took a leadership management class or, you know, something that's not necessarily a certification, but could still apply to his job.
I think in that same sentence, you can just add some comments and lump in 2 or 3 of those things.
Yeah. But you did, I thought you did write the amounts and that's the financial side of it, the way we had talked about it in the last meeting.
Do you want me to add that in and bring it back next meeting, or do you want to approve with Rich's notes tonight? What's the preference?
I would be comfortable with that. Are you guys comfortable with that?
I'm comfortable.
Authorize them to make your modifications. You could run it by Rich and Bill since they had suggestions, and Karen.
Well, I guess what would that impact be then? So for the guys, the water plants, they have to get certifications, then are we matching that? Or is it, then are the employees responsible for half of that and the town's paying half of that? Where currently the town takes care of all of that?
Yeah, I think if it's something we've always taken care of because it's required by the job, and it also, when they complete it, they get a raise, like the CDL and stuff like that, that we still pay for those as we have. I think by certification, we mean like if you're going from a basic or advanced to paramedic, or you're getting MCSE certified because you're an IT person, which we don't really have, but.
And I guess how do you clarify the distinction between those? You have taking classes that will certify them, say the water treatment for an increased position. How is that different than the certification for the going from the basic to paramedic or something like that? I'm just raising the question. I don't, in terms of logic or.
Yeah, I guess the certifications at the water plant and the sewer plant are required to actually be able to do the job. You have to get those at some point, or you can't really work here, right?
The operator.
You have to have somebody as an operator.
Right.
They would have to get the certification, but you have to have one to certify.
I get, that's a good question though, Rich. I think that's fair. I guess I just don't want to pay for someone to get their paramedic if they're not going to stick around. And the guys getting their CDLs and their plant certifications are doing it to get a raise and go to that next level. Yeah, does it qualify them for a job in another town possibly? But I feel like we should still pay for those.
I don't disagree with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's probably, I think why I left that language out in the handbook change so far. Why I just basically said, you know, for graduate school or
Yeah.
bachelor's associates. We'll try to, I think,
Because there's a lot of them.
yeah.
Yeah, and maybe you just say other certifications and or educational opportunities need to be approved by the council. So we could approve the CDL or we could approve,
And that mechanism is in there, it needs the supervisor's approval. or the
Yeah.
approval, And the town manager's approval, and the parents' approval, and then the town council. So the authorization process is there.
so maybe we do need to leave out the certifications. And continue having those come through council. So we're circling back.
Okay.
Go with the original. You guys comfortable with your authorizing him to?
Continuing education,
Mhm.
included or not included? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So authorize changing, just adding continuing ed, but other certifications will still come through the council.
Okay.
Someone please motion to let Jonathan publish that.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I think that's all I have for tonight.
All right, great, thank you. Is anyone from the EMS department reporting? Jeff, are you here? I see his name on there. Oh, no, it's on the invite list. Okay. Anyone from the fire department reporting? Okay. We should probably drop Ken a note. We haven't heard from the fire department in a while. And if Ken can't make it, have him send somebody maybe. Wayne, are you online from the police department? Amber online for the park department? You can tell it's Labor Day week. All right, and we already covered utilities. Bob, you're not on the line to report anything in addition? Okay. Amber accepted, so if she jumps in, that's okay. Boards and commissions, anyone from the Plan Commission or BZA reporting? We usually don't get that one. So we'll go to redevelopment, Rich.
Nothing to report. Our next meeting is the 21st.
Okay. Tree Commission, any new report from the Tree Commission? We got a pretty lengthy one at the last meeting.
I believe they have a meeting scheduled this week. Is it tomorrow for?
Okay, great. Clerk's report.
I just had one claim over $1,500 that I need your approval on, and it's for EJ Prescott, for $5,306, and that's for the coming out of water for materials and supplies.
Okay, motion to approve the claim for EJ.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
I sent out the health insurance renewal. I received that on Friday. They need information back from us, or a commitment back from us as to what plans we want to sign up for by the 19th, I believe, which is next Friday before the next meeting. And so I guess the question is, are you okay with the two plans that we currently offer? Or do you want to hold a work session or special session to reevaluate other plans that might be a little less costly and have something decided by the 19th?
Wow.
I'm,
They really put some pressure on you,
well,
huh?
they're trying to get to open enrollment, so.
Yeah,
And get all of their ducks in a row so that we can move forward with open
it'd be nice
enrollment.
of them to give you this with more time.
Well, I guess, right, with them, at least we get an idea of how much it's gonna be ahead of time.
Did you guys have a chance to look over the spreadsheet Karen
I
sent?
looked it over.
It's pretty scary, isn't it?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's a lot to assimilate.
Yeah, it really is. I think a work session's a great idea. Even if we can't decide for this year, Karen, these numbers probably won't change a whole lot next year. If anything, they're gonna go up. So at least we could look at it and think about it for next budget year, if you guys wanna I mean, yeah, maybe we come out of a work session with a decision this year, but I think that could be really difficult without getting input from the supervisors, Karen, Jonathan. But we need to look at it.
Right, but if we have a work session, we can't make a decision there, and then
Right.
our next council meetings after when they need their answer back.
We could do it as a special session.
No.
If we did it as a special session, we could vote.
Right.
And even if we don't want to make a decision, that would be fine too. We could still have a special session. So if we did a week from today, that would be the 15th. We could at least then notify them we're sticking with the same plans or we're doing something different. Can you guys do a week from today?
I can't because of the library board, but, it doesn't matter.
Plan
I'm not
commission,
on the insurance.
plan commission will be meeting here.
Okay. Do you want to try to do a week from tomorrow or Wednesday, the 16th? Would that work better, Bill?
That's fine for me.
It'd be better to have all of us if possible.
Okay.
I would not be available, well, what time are we talking?
Whenever you want.
5?
Would 5 work?
Yeah, probably. Maybe 5.
So would that work for you, Bill, the 16th?
I'm good.
Would that work for you too? Okay,
9/16 at 5.
yeah. I do think we should give our supervisors a heads up that we're having the dialogue if they want to participate in that or come with their own ideas and thoughts on this, because,
Is there any information that I can provide to you before that meeting? Or if there is any, let me know in the next couple of days so I can get it together.
yeah. I thought the chart was terrific. I think my only question is, what does that like, there's a PPO plan 1 and a PPO plan 2 and a 3 and and what does the employee gain from like a simple, why we chose these specific plans versus the other ones, and because to me, otherwise it's just a chart of numbers, but it is really nice to see it in this format.
I think I can get some of that information.
Okay. Anything else you guys want? Alrighty.
Meet here at 5 o'clock?
Yeah, if this location is not booked, that would be great. Okay, so 5 o'clock on the 16th.
And then the last thing I have is I submitted the notice to taxpayers last Tuesday and put it out on TGL and also on the website. Just a reminder on the 2021 budget, the public hearing is at the next meeting. I provided copies on one of the chairs of the budgets, and if anybody wants more information, feel free to contact me.
Okay.
That's it.
Great, thank you, Karen. All right, we'll go on to got through clerk's report. We'll go to Jim.
Yes, I shared with you all some good news about a foreclosure, agreed default judgment and decree of foreclosure on the 415 Lakeshore property. The process now is the certified judgment. I have to request that is sent to the sheriff. The sheriff will schedule it for a sheriff's sale. There is some posting of another notice. You may have seen those in the paper in the past. In legal ads. I think they're scheduling them in, with all the timing, probably end of October, maybe 1st of November. And so if all falls into place, the sheriff will award a sheriff's deed to the high bidder, and of course, the town would be prepared to bid in our judgment, which does include, by the way, payment of county real estate taxes. So and just as a side, our friend recorded a deed very end of May, 1st of June on this property showing that the 27 Group, Inc. Conveyed it to the Foundation of Underprivileged Children's Trust in some county in North Carolina for $27. It's an interesting deed because it's almost identical, with the exception of the legal description and who it was to the quitclaim deed that he filed with his lawsuit against the town of Culver on the 614 Lakeshore property, and which was actually conveyed to another party. Since then, that property has also been conveyed to the Foundation of Underprivileged Children Trust. So the date of the deed is December 10th, 2014. Interesting date. There's an interesting notary on it. My suspicions is this is an attempt by Mr. Van Hock to further confuse and cause problems with our foreclosure action, but it wasn't ever recorded in a timely fashion. Our lien process was already there. If you read the order, we take precedent, but priority over somebody that's now trying to claim after the fact. So we'll see what happens with Mr. Van Hock and whatever he's trying to do with this new deed. But my hope is we'll get a timely sheriff's deed, either the town or some other prospective buyer, and we'll get our money back and be done.
So the money we have into it becomes our bid, and if someone wants to go higher than that amount, they would have to pay our liens.
Yeah, if somebody wants to, if someone would bid over our judgment amount, they would satisfy all of our lien and the county taxes. County taxes always got to be paid first.
Okay.
So,
But we would have to do that also.
pardon me,
We would have to do that also, correct? The county taxes are about $20,000.
county taxes always have to be paid first.
Right. So our $78,000, $79,000 means plus the $24,000 that is owed to the county for taxes.
That's correct.
Okay.
So that's that. And then this isn't really about Culver business, but just so you know, the county approved Marshall County Economic Development Corporation as the administrator for some microloans through from the COVID programming thing. So even if some of your Culver businesses have already gotten some loans, grants, or whatever, they may be eligible for additional microloans through that program, and so keep an eye out for that, or have those people that are interested, keep an eye out for that. And with that, that's all I have.
Great, thank you, Jim. Is anyone online for citizen input?
Not online, but I'm here.
Yep, we'll get to you. If you are online for citizen input, unmute yourself and speak. All right, we'll do citizen input in the room. Go ahead.
Okay, regarding Chadwick Shores, Pam Subchak, and I guess I came here to hear about the second and third reading, but you guys obviously had already approved it. Can you explain me what is that? What did we end up with?
It's the crosswalk, signage, and 10-mile-an-hour speed limit.
Okay, so that's what you did?
Yeah.
Okay.
We have to do, last meeting when you were here, we did it on first read with an ordinance. You have to do 3 readings.
Okay.
If you have like a 5-0 vote, or in the case of tonight, a 4-0 vote, you can pass it on second and third reading as well, but we like to wait another meeting for second readings in case there's a big uprising from the public or something new or new information comes in. But so we were doing the same reading as the last time.
So what I was here for, so the crosswalk and 10 miles.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, and then I got this letter today in the mail, so I guess I don't understand what that's about, the area that you're talking about.
So that street is not named in the town records. When that development was done, that section of road kind of around Chadwick Shores was never.
That whole loop around,
Yeah.
or just this? No,
Both
this is
sides,
what- okay,
both
the whole
sides
loop.
had never been named. I know all the property owners their addresses are West Shore Drive,
Correct.
but it's, intersects with West Shore Drive twice. And council talked about changing the name for that section. And so that's what the letter's about, asking for feedback, thoughts from.
So we don't really have to change it. I mean, I just moved here from Illinois, and I just went through all this stuff,
Yeah.
and
No, so
now-
if council changes it, Karen would change it, would notify the post office on behalf of the town that we've changed that street address. But then you'd have, I think, 12 months for most mailings to then notify anyone who you get a mailing from
Right, but what
repeatedly.
about the deed to my house? What about all my registered cars, I just spent over $1,000 at the
Yeah,
DMV.
no, I mean, you wouldn't-
changing over all my titles.
Just, as you renew those, you would have to change
But there's a charge to get a new title to your car. They charged me to title my car. So I guess the insanity continues with this whole, craziness of my neighbors.
So we'll
but-
document your feedback as please don't change the name.
Please, I know, but it doesn't pertain to anybody but 5 people, and
I think
it's
there's
just a big
20-some.
inconvenience that why can't we just leave it alone? The police are competent enough to know, and how many times do we expect to get called out there? I mean, that's been here for how many years? I've been here for not quite 20, and there's never been a police officer out there. I mean, I have to change the name.
Whoever's online, could you mute your phone? Okay, so we'll document your feedback as don't change
But
the
I
name
mean,
of the
why do
street.
we have to even consider changing the name? I mean, there's no house, I guess what I'm trying to say is there's no house between that point and that point on that east-west side of it that where this supposed issue is with the neighbors. There isn't even there's not a house on.
right. Right.
Chadwick Shores faces West Shore Drive. We are all, there's nothing there, and then the people in the
Yeah,
back, they're
so
gonna have to get changed.
There's not a
out.
lot of address confusion, but that street's not named is basically all it comes down to.
So you can just leave it West Shore Drive?
It'd be unnamed. It's unnamed. You can't, I mean, I don't think it makes sense direction-wise or, our emergency
It's over
services,
archives that it's West
they
Shore
weren't
Drive.
comfortable with, so if you would just name it all West Shore Drive and have it like that, that
Right.
was not gonna go with them. That was not, what was recommended. Now, I understand what you're saying, that there's no one in that triangle then that has an address.
There's no one there that actually has an address, and so, I don't know, I guess it's definitely gonna get a different name though, what you're saying, it's definitely gonna have.
Depends on what the feedback is and what we think as a council.
Okay,
It's just it's the 5 council members who would make that decision.
okay.
Whenever we do a new development and there's a new street name, we did the Stellar Housing Project. We let the community decide the street name. It became Cavalier Drive.
Right.
We did a survey and we've named other streets just randomly where we didn't survey the public.
And if you would, either send me an email or leave that sheet with me so I can keep it. I am gonna keep track of all those.
Right, and
So-
just, because I guess the court part, if you have to put something to it, is court
Oh,
would be better than
I think-
Long Point Lane.
Yeah, no, I
Then
think-
I'd have to change everything, at least
Yeah.
West Point Court, I don't have to change it.
I think one of the options was other suggestions. So if it's don't change it, just feel free to write that in and hand it to me and I'll.
I mean, one thing you have to understand though, if you have only local people working your EMS or your fire department, your police department,
Right.
and they happen to know that, that's great. But the majority of our EMTs right now are from LaPorte, Porter County, they don't know the streets the way you do, or I might know them. So when they get called out, and we've had this happen, and recent times, as in last year, if they don't know the address, they don't get there. And it can cost someone their life. So it's a real issue if a street doesn't have a name. It
And we
becomes
just
an
can't
issue for
pick
them.
A West Shore
Well, they think West Shore is
Well,
that
as
main
you know,
road.
I live up at the top of the hill, down the private drive. And probably about 3 to 4 times a month, I get people coming up there looking for that West Shore Circle, which is
Right,
down the
it's
street.
further down, yeah.
Right, and every time.
So you could
there's-
see how an EMT who has no idea what's on that lake could get lost
Right,
and cost someone a life. And you're eventually gonna need an EMT in that neighborhood. Happens to all the neighborhoods.
so we don't get Culver EMTs anymore, is what you're saying? We are.
No, I am saying that.
But I mean.
Oh,
Culver
no,
people
many
know.
of our EMTs commute
Don't live
into
it.
work.
They don't live it.
Yeah, we're not a volunteer service anymore, which is a lot of local people. And we still have some local EMTs, but I would argue more than half of them are not from Culver.
Oh, so when I call, they're coming from,
No, they're coming out of this station.
Yeah,
they're
but the
people who have
actual
lived here
employees,
who aren't familiar with all of the streets.
they commute in from another location. So you could have a Plymouth guy working at our EMS, or LaPorte, or LaGrange, or literally anywhere. EMTs are all over.
right. Well, and like I say, it's so seasonal up in there. There's only 2 of us that are there year round.
Right.
And
And if one of
she's a
you needs
doctor.
an EMS, we need to be there for you.
Right, but I would rather have my name not changed.
I get it.
So, okay, I guess that's it for right now. When is that gonna be decided? Is it gonna be decided in 2 weeks?
I think I put on the letter the date when I was asking feedback
Right, for
for,
the October,
said I'd
so then it'll
put it
be-
on the council agenda for, I think the date was in the letter.
Okay, I'm out of my class now. So,
Yeah.
okay, I will, well, I gotta come to the office tomorrow anyway, so
Okay.
we'll be in, I can bring this tomorrow.
Sure.
Okay, okay.
Any other citizen input from anyone else? All right. Council issues, Bill Clevenger.
I had an inquiry, Kay Tusing asked me on Saturday. We were attending a memorial service over in the park, and she noticed on the basketball court that the memorial to Mr. Paray is now in need of a memorial. Is that the park department? that
Yeah, we'll get it.
Take care of that?
I think it's time, right?
Okay, that's the only thing I have.
I'm confused.
Flowers and things that were left over there. as a
Flowers.
memorial that
Oh, I
I have
see.
now started to die, so we need to get it cleaned up.
Oh,
Needs
okay.
to get cleaned up.
Okay.
Yep.
I wasn't following. I'm sorry, Bill.
Yeah.
You were trying to be politically nice about this and correct. Bill Giffens, council issues.
Couple things, the library wants to thank the council for last 2 months for coming and having meetings over there. We really enjoyed having you. And if you ever need to come back, and certainly promote the meeting spaces available for us. Got that, and then I left in your place tonight that Colleen is retiring. And retiring from the library after 12 years of service. And there will be a reception this coming Monday, the 14th, from 10:30 to 12:30 at the library. So you'll pass this around, and this on-town guy on the lake can come by and say goodbye to her. And I will tell you that we had 5 people interview for her position, and we made a decision tonight to hire someone, but we're gonna do the background checks now and all that. But we had 5 good applicants, 3 from surrounding area, 1 from Fort Wayne and 1 from southern Indiana. So we made our selection, and hopefully we'll have someone on board within the next 30 to 45 days.
Great. Great. Thank you, Bill.
Yeah.
And please pass on our well wishes for Colleen's future retirement.
Yeah.
Rich?
Jonathan, I think in one of your emails you suggested, or even in the beginning of your management report, a work session for a report from our attorneys. I think we should probably schedule an executive session. I don't know if we want to do it on the tail end of our work session that we just scheduled for
For next Wednesday.
15th.
Is that,
You need to do the executive session.
Do the executive first.
Before. Okay.
do you want to do it then? Is that,
If we did that at 5 and then had a,
I can't make it earlier than 5, but.
executive session to go over the report from the attorneys.
Okay.
I can do the 5 o'clock executive and then follow it with the work session, if you guys are all good with that.
Jim, could you call in that night possibly?
Yeah, can I just do that?
Yeah,
Sure, Wednesday
what
at
time?
5.
Wednesday at 5, September 16th.
Okay, that works. That's a good idea to put them together. Anything else, Rich?
That was it for me.
I know we're scheduling all these work sessions and it gets kind of busy and crazy, but I was hoping that, obviously not in the next week or two, but maybe sometime in October, before we start putting out notices for new board appointees for next year. I mean, we always do the appointments in January. All 5 of us are going to be here in January. There's no election or anything for us to worry about. I was hoping we could get together and have a work session on onboarding new board appointees, talking about the ethics stuff that we've sort of discussed via one-on-one sessions and email and et cetera. I think we just need to have a work session and talk about how to better prep our board members. We've done no orientation. I know Karen's talked about this in the past. Or given board members expectations from our standpoint. We appoint to literally every board and we've not done that. I know we've had discussions about how we all operate on those boards, how we operate in our personal lives on other boards, and then we come in here and we make decisions. And I thought we could maybe sit down and all have a very frank, open discussion about what that looks like, if we need to adopt any policy or not. I'm not suggesting we do, but since it's come up in recent months, I thought it would be a good time for us before we make appointments in January to maybe have and I'm kind of thinking maybe sometime in October, can be late October even. I'd like to give Karen and Jonathan some time to think that through too, because I know we've talked about this with Karen in the past. Jim has had major participation in an ethics board for the state. So I'd love to give Jim time to think about things he thinks we might want to talk about, what you all think we should talk about. And maybe we put together an agenda and kind of aim toward sometime this fall. Just wanted to get that idea out there and get you guys, get your input on what that should look like. Especially knowing we'll have appointments come up in January. So are you guys okay with that, you and Karen? I think it'd be nice if we could schedule it where Jim could be present as well. I just feel like that would be valuable input with your experience. So, but I think it needs to be a work session, so we don't have to take up time in this format. But that was, I think, the only thing I had. I think there was one other thing, but my mind is not fully, I need sugar or something. Dinner maybe. Motion to adjourn to claims if there's nothing else.
Second.
Thank you, all in favor?
Aye.
Oh, there's Rice Krispie treats if anyone wants to take your mask off.
Like the remodeling that's done in the retail. Pardon me?
Yeah, what do you think you're doing tonight?